the rosebush image and how falls the scarlet letter. Now, the beginning of how falls the scarlet letter is very striking. Prison door, somebody who's going to get out of prison, and there is this bright rosebush that stands in contrast with the gloomy atmosphere of the prison. Nothing is given as for the interpretation of this rosebush. What does it mean? No, Hawthorne himself does not tell us. But then we can infer some of these, because there is this long paragraph at the beginning of the novel telling us or describing this rosebush. One suggestion is that it represents what? Hope. Since we are dealing with a prison, locked doors, so there is no hope whatsoever. But with the rosebush outside the prison door, there might be some hope to the prisoner once the prisoner gets out of his cell. Another principle suggested, another interpretation suggested by the author himself is it suggests a sweet moral wisdom, and this is a little bit ironic since Hester is condemned to have adultery with somebody, and she's punished by this puritanical society to wear a scarlet letter. A stands for adultery. By the way, the novel is written in 1850 and in the 19th century, but it's set in the 17th century in this puritanical society. Much inhibition, restrictions, and things like that. Another possible interpretation for the rosebush is beauty. And all of us are familiar with this interpretation of beauty, but what sort of beauty Hester has? She's very attractive to the fact that she was attractive to the degree of danger. The minister fell in love with her, and ultimately she was condemned for the life sentence of her life to have this scarlet letter put in her bosom.
For me, it was observation. I observed classes, I observed the way you teach, I observed the way you work, I observed everything in the corridors, students. So observation just gave me an idea. How can I use the method that I learned so much while I was here in this very short time, and I can take all this back to my colleagues back in Baghdad. So I thought of classroom observation. I need to say that with classroom observation, we don't have such practice in Iraq, unfortunately. It's not implemented as a practice in our classrooms. So maybe this would be a golden opportunity to introduce such practice, but at the same time, try and use this, invest in this, to take what me and my colleagues, what they acquired during this workshop back with us and impart it to our fellow staff members. So, observation. We observe, and as Shakespeare would say, mine eyes did see in 12th night. So, the eyes sees, and sometimes, and quite, for me, for the past month, my eyes was pleased with everything that it saw. So, it's something that we do throughout our life, and we never stop. In a classroom, observation, if used properly, or if it's employed properly, it would definitely be a benefit for the observed and the observer. For everybody who would sit in the classroom with a purpose. And of course, for any practice, if it's skillfully handled, if it's taken from its positive side, then it would definitely yield good benefits for the department or the college. Right.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay. My topic, as you see, informal assessment of poetry class. Okay, this idea came to me when attending the courses, the workshops that we attended in Georgia State University. So, in literature in general, we don't use this kind of assessment for our students. We always use subjective assessment, subjective tests to, like an essay form, to express their opinions, to know what they are thinking, how they are evaluating the themes, the ideas, anything else. But as a poetry teacher, I know some of you teach poetry. I find difficulty. I see that my students find difficulty in remembering the titles and names of poems. In another term, to identify poems. I face this difficulty all the time, and believe me, I tried many ways to make them remember them, but no use. So this came to me when why don't I use this kind of simple tests to make them remember things, to identify, to relate things. So let us start with the idea. First of all, I have the general definition of a test. A test is an activity whose main purpose is to indicate how well the student knows or can do something. This is in general. Informal test is based on specific skills that student must master.
Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure really to be here in Georgia State University and to be one of the presenters in this workshop. Okay, as you know, my topic is corpus linguistics and teaching grammar. I think that there is a mistake in your brochure, not in but and, just to explain this idea. The most important thing is, why did I choose this topic? Here I have my own experience about corpus linguistics. You are all familiar with the long-body grammar written by Douglas Weber and the others. Okay, when I bought this book, I found so many frequencies, so many examples, so many classifications. But I don't know what are these. What does each one of them refer to? So when I came to this program, and let's say Dr. Eric, thanks for him, and Dr. Badri, thank you for you. When they talked about corpus linguistics and what does it refer to, the question has been answered. Okay, that's why I chose this topic, because I'm really interested in talk about this study. Besides, I think that I will share this study with my other colleagues in the University of Baghdad. The introduction, something about this study. To conduct a study of language which is corpus-based, it is necessary to gain access to a corpus and a software program. Actually, when we want to talk or to make a study about corpus linguistics, we have a program, okay, it's a software program, and if you have a specific text, you can, let's say, print or let's say copy them, and you have to adapt this text with the program. Corpus linguistics uses computer-assisted analysis along with the human participations of language functions to study the language pattern in a large corpus of text. Corpus linguistics approaches the study of language through the use of corpus. Corpus is the plural form of corpus. Okay, just to clarify this.
Yes. You are, my friends, really. First of all, I can't describe my feelings, in fact. Am I the luckiest person to be the last presenter, or what? I don't think. but just a word which all of my colleagues have stated, but I'd like to state it to be because I'm the last presenter. I'd like to state my great thanks to all the professors and the staff members, even the people who are on the front desk at the Commons. All people are so helpful, so cooperative, so responsive. They gave us all they have in teaching. And I say this, and I'd like to say it again. They are models. They are genius, actually speaking. All of us in the colleague, in the team, we have the same feelings, believe me. When we discuss it at the Commons, we say that teacher is genius. The other one is so and so. So we arrive to the last one. So also I'd like to state my great thanks to IRIX, represented by Dr. Laurie Mason, for providing us this opportunity to be here. We are so lucky to be here. Also, I don't forget to thank my colleagues, Iraqi colleagues, for being so responsive, so cooperative, so friendly. And at the Commons and here, we do our breakfast together, we come together, we share experiences and all of these kind of workshops. Thank you. So I'll start my topic. As you see, this is corpus linguistics. I'm going to talk about resources, methodologies, and applications. In fact, since I was in Baghdad, one of my students, he's the most cleverest one in the classroom, he asked me about a special presentation about corpus linguistics. I have it in my syllabus, but I don't teach it in the way I have learned in this workshop. This is honestly speaking. because we lack the technology, we lack the new techniques, again, you are models in teaching. So I'd like to invest all of the things I've learned in this workshop to be presented to my students, and this will be my presentation to you and to my students. I'm interested to talk about resources because most of our students and even some of our faculty members do not have any idea about the resources for corpus linguistics or methodologies or how to do things. And of course, the applications, especially to apply all these things on our Iraqi context, in our colleges, in the University of Baghdad English Department, and all of these things which made me choose that topic. First of all, I'd like to start by an introduction, which I borrowed from Dr. Eric, our dear Eric. You see that? Yeah. Because he's the person who is an expert in corpus linguistics. Corpus linguistics is a research approach. It is a research approach which has been developed over the past 40 years. As you see that, till now we don't have full idea about corpus linguistics, but maybe most of the people here, and Dr. Bunting also have talked to us about corpus linguistics. I think that you have, but in Baghdad, most of the people do not have this idea about corpus linguistics. So it is a research approach that has been developed over the past 40 years to study language use in large principled collection of text. The first idea is that collecting text, different texts. But these texts are, of course, of one language, one register, one variety, and so on.